So, Tottenham Hotspur's interest in Mohammed Kudus has been confirmed today by the reliable Matt Law, followed by Fabrizio Romano, saying that Tottenham do have genuine interest in Mohammed Kudus. He's high on the list this summer, as Matt Law first reported, and initial contacts have taken place with his new agents. There's other clubs also interested, but the big thing here is Cudis is open to the Spurs move. Cudis has had some conversations and he's indicated to Tottenham that he is interested in the move. You know, there was news coming out in the last few days that Eze wants Arsenal, not Tottenham, and Tottenham's interest in Eze is called, and Mbeumo wants Manchester United. But this is big in a sense of, well, Cudis, despite being at West Ham, who's a big rival of Tottenham's, he's open to Tottenham, he wants to move. That's the first big development. The Times also spoke about how Thomas Frank was very keen to see some players in person before making a decision. And while Thomas Frank is a new manager, and it's always good to get players in the door early so we can work with them on pre-season, Thomas Frank may want to look at a few players on pre-season. And I do think Tottenham could do a lot of their business later in the window, which isn't always the best thing to do, but I think Thomas Frank wants to just see the players and suss them out. And look, also, I'm just going to mention I'm filming this on my phone camera, so I don't know what the quality is going to be like, but I'm having so many issues with my streaming software at the moment. It's not just me, it's lots of people that use it. So I've got my laptop running one screen, my phone running another screen, loads going on at the moment. So I don't know how the quality of this video is going to come out because so much is running right now. So I do apologize for that. But yes, the Times even mentioned that Tottenham are exploring a lot of options. Semenyo, Cudis, and Xavi Simons are three options. Xavi Simons would be insane. The interest in Eze has cooled. So it's very obvious that Tottenham want a more inside forward. If you're looking at Cudis, you're looking at Xavi Simons, and you're looking at Eze, that's somebody that's a winger but likes to come more on the inside. Rather, Ange liked his touchline wingers. Thomas Frank likes wingers that can come more central, which also I think does suit Kulusevski. I know he's not got that blistering pace, but I do think that suits him well. It was also said in regards to what Matt Law said that Tottenham want to break their unofficial transfer embargo with West Ham to sign Cudis. Obviously, Tottenham and West Ham don't do a lot of business. Cudis was identified as a primary target. Spurs are optimistic they can clinch a deal for well below his 85 million release clause. He's not worth 85 million. I think he's fallen out of Potter, which puts West Ham in a position where they will sell him for cheaper. And I think when you look at the value on the market right now, it's not great for attacking positions. We're talking of Bournemouth potentially wanting 70 or plus million for Semenyo. You could be getting Kudus on a cut price because he's had, maybe not the best relationship with West Ham recently. Jacob Steinberg, who's quite well connected within London and West Ham, said there's no asking price, but there's the sense that 60 million could be enough to get a deal done in regards to Mohammed Kudus. I think 50 million plus add-ons is a good deal. I think he wasn't great last season, Cudis, but if you look at his first season, if you look at his 23-24 season, he got 28 goal contributions that season. He is a good player. He's proven to be a good player. So I think, when you look at João Pedro going for 60 million, you look at 50 million bids being rejected for Elanga, and Mbeumo looks like he's going to cost Man United 65 million. Bournemouth wants 70 million plus for Semenyo. Tyler Dibling's being quoted at 50 million. He's got very little experience. Cunha was over 60 million pounds. I think 60 million for Cudis isn't a bad deal. I think especially if you look at João Pedro, Gittins at 55 million, and I think Cudis is a better player than Gittins. So I think Cudis for 60 million isn't an awful deal. I think because he's not had the best season, his price is definitely lowered. But this time last year, 60 million for Cudis was an insane deal. He's just not had the best season at West Ham in regards to that. But I think for the most part, it would be a good deal for Tottenham. I think 60 million, if that includes add-ons, when you look at the value in the market, I think is pretty good. Now, I've seen a few Tottenham fans not the happiest about the Cudis links because apparently he did something to Van der Ven and some because he plays for West Ham. But I think the Cudis under Thomas Frank would be insane. I'm going to talk about Cudis and my thoughts on him, but I honestly think Mohammed Kudus under Thomas Frank would be insane. Tottenham have already apparently even had a 50 million bid rejected from Mohammed Kudus this summer, and this is coming from reliable outlets. So it looks like maybe 60 million would get the deal over the line. I think we're missing out on Mbeumo and maybe now Eze. I think Tottenham could move quick to get a Kudus deal done and over the line. West Ham are ready to accept 60 million for Mohammed Kudus to ease PSR pressure. I think if you can get the 60 million including add-ons, it's quite good business. This time last year would have been unreal business. That's what I think. But Ben Jacobs also said he's now one of Spurs' leading targets, but they do have interest in Semenyo and Eze. Could this get Semenyo's price down? I'm not sure. I just think Bournemouth has sold so many players they don't want to sell. Eze seems Arsenal bound. Could it get Xavi Simons priced down? I don't know if Xavi Simons wants to go Spurs. Does anyone know down below if Xavi Simons wants to go Spurs? Like, I think this is pretty big because we've now basically got confirmation that Cudis is open to Tottenham and would say yes to Tottenham, whereas we don't know if Eze would say yes to Tottenham. We don't know if Mbeumo would say yes to Tottenham because he wants United. Eze wants Arsenal. I don't know where Xavi Simons wants. Do you think he'd say yes to Tottenham? Obviously, we've got indications that Cudis would say yes to Tottenham, so that's why it's quite big news. So let's talk about the signing, my thoughts on the signing, and do I think it will be a good deal? Now, looking at Kudus, he, for me, is one of the best dribblers. I think he's very... The way you could describe him is anti-Brennan Johnson. He's very different to Brennan Johnson in the sense of Brennan Johnson's end product, but lacks other aspects of his game, where Kudus has always been an elite dribbler, elite at taking people on. And as you can see by this statistic here, Mohammed Kudus is the only player to complete 200 take-ons in the Premier League since he joined West Ham. 216 he's completed with a decent success rate. He is statistically an elite level ball carrier, one of the best ball carriers in the world, one of the best dribblers in the world. And I think that's something that Tottenham lacks, and that's something that Thomas Frank wants. Brennan Johnson's very good at getting on the end and getting at the back post, but he's not the best ball carrier, Brennan Johnson. He's a little bit predictable on the ball. Whereas Mohammed Kudus is, you've got someone that, you know, Thomas Frank likes a ball carrier. You know it worked well under Thomas Frank. That's how he likes Mbeumo, because he's a good ball carrier. That's like why he likes Vissa, because he's a good ball carrier. He's powerful, he's a good dribbler. I think Cudis could thrive under Thomas Frank. Now, Cudis was insane in his first season at West Ham, wasn't great this season that's just finished. But one thing about Thomas Frank is you look at Tony, you look at Vissa, you look at Mbeumo, he's so good at getting the best out of attackers. And Cudis is one of those players that I honestly think could explode under Thomas Frank. He's 24, he's a versatile attacking midfielder that I think he would play on the wing for Tottenham Hotspur because you've got Maddison and Kulu that can play central. He joined West Ham in 2023, and in his first season, it wasn't actually, I think one or two of his first goals were actually at Ajax, but in the 23-24 season, he got 28 plus goals and assists. That's crazy numbers, and a lot of them was at West Ham. Of course, in the Europa League definitely helps inflate the stats. But he showed his attacking threat, and I remember some of the dribbles and some of the runs he went on at West Ham. And even this season, he wasn't as good this season. His output was nowhere near as good, but we saw glimpses of what Cudis could do. If you go and watch Cudis' Europa League highlights, they were insane. But he can play right wing, attacking mid. He could play centre mid. I wouldn't play him centre mid, and even centre forward. He's played anywhere. I think he would predominantly play right wing if he went to Tottenham Hotspur, and he's just insanely versatile. If I'm looking at how I think he would do under Thomas Frank, I'm thinking right now he's press resistant, he's good on the ball. I think he can do a similar job to what Mbeumo could do. You know, he's a good dribbler. He does have good output if we're taking away just last season. But when it comes to dribbling, link up, explosive turns, unpredictability, the ability to come on inside, which is what Thomas Frank will want from his forward, Kudus could do that. I honestly think Kudus is such a good option for Thomas Frank. Such a good option for Thomas Frank. I know you liked Eze, I know you liked Mbeumo, but I actually think Thomas Frank attackers, it's such a good option. I think it'll be a really good bit of business. He is aggressive, he's a good ball carrier, he's good under pressure, he's good under contact, he's good in the half spaces. Thomas Frank likes his forwards and wingers to come on the inside. That's what you've seen with Vissa, that's what you've seen with Mbeumo. He likes his forwards to come inside, and Cudis does that really well. He does that really well, and I think he can stay high, he can get between the lines, he can get involved, he can carry the ball. I think he's a good player. There's obviously questions in regards to Cudis and his attitude, and there's a few questions and red flags over that, the fallout at West Ham, but if we're talking ability, raw ability, natural ability, dribbling ability, you don't get much better than Cudis. As I said, the 97th percentile for successful take-ons, which is 3.2 per 90. That is literally insane, and Thomas Frank will love that. He's very good under pressure. He's very good in tight spaces. He's two-footed. He can shoot. He can create with either foot. He's one of those players that's got that ability to make something out of nothing, which I think is always good. I think, and I said this when I was talking about Arsenal, one of Arsenal's biggest issues is they don't have players other than Saka that can create something out of nothing and win them a game. Arsenal could have like 80% possession and 20 shots, and they could lose a game like 1-0 because they can't score, because they have a lack of those players that have that moment in them. And Cudis, again, while he didn't have his greatest season last year, he's got that moment in him. He's two-footed. He can create a winning. He can create a winning goal. He can score a winning goal. He can make something happen out of nothing. And obviously, one big thing is about the physicality of the Premier League. Some players come to the Premier League and they don't do very well. They struggle with the physicality of the league, but Kudus, obviously having Premier League experience, has shown he can deal well with the physicality of the league. He's very good in duels. He's very good 1v1, as we can see by his statistics. He's very good at keeping the ball in tight spaces, holding up the ball well, and potentially you could even see him play striker under Thomas Frank. He's also very intelligent. He's very intelligent when it comes to getting between the midfield and attack, when it comes to making runs that's going to disrupt the opposition's defensive shape. He's very intelligent and he's very good at that. So lastly, what are my general thoughts on Cudis? He can play right wing, attacking midfield. He could play centre mid. I wouldn't play him centre mid, and centre forward. He adds depth and unpredictability to Spurs. 18 goals and 10 assists in his first season at West Ham, adapting to a new system, a new league. Good dribbler, reads the game well, can drop deep to support and build up if need be. He can help carry the ball and build up. I think he would work really well with a Doggy, Porro, Spence, the fullback dynamic at Tottenham. He only got 9 goal contributions last season, but a new environment and manager, particularly someone like Thomas Frank with Thomas Frank's ability, could definitely bring the best out of him. And also another thing about Cudis is he's only 24. He's got so much room for improvement. Pardon me. Yeah, sorry about that. He's got so much room for improvement. He's only 24. He's got elements and creativity like Bernardo Silva, but he's got elements of Hazard's dribbling. I'm not saying he's the next Hazard. I'm not saying he's the next Bernardo Silva, but I'm saying we know what his dribbling ability is. We know what his creativity is. We know what his raw ability is. We know what Thomas Frank can do with attackers, and we know that he's young. And we know that Tottenham need a winger, and I think it's a really good option, and I think it would be a really good signing.